Hey guys, it's your host Jada, and this is the very first episode of my new podcast, Let's Talk About It. I want to give you guys an introduction to my podcast and what it's all about. So this podcast is about having conversations that help us navigate through life from the perspective of a young adult who's actively in that process. The goal is to create a safe space for anyone to share their perspectives, experiences, or any information that could be helpful for us to gain any insight on adulthood or life in general. With these conversations, I hope to help others to not feel alone in their process or their journey. I want to create something that is meaningful, not just the next hot topic that's already plaguing our feeds. So now that that's out the way, I want to get into the topic for this episode. New year, new vision. Let's talk about it. So now that it's the new year, I kind of got in that mode, as most people do, where I kind of want to reset, reevaluate, and reflect on the past, but then plan for the future. I've always been in that mindset of like, okay, I want to, be ready so I'm good and prepared in the future, but I find myself always putting things off. Or, oh, I'll do it when I get a little later. I have time to figure stuff out and I'm just being lazy. But yeah, so this year I wanted to do something with intention and be intentional about how I want to move forward throughout the year and beyond that. This year, me and my boyfriend, we planned a New Year, New Vision party. Didn't really go as how we expected, but either way, the people who were there and that participated alongside me and my boyfriend, we were able to share what we accomplished, what we learned from the previous year, and then what we plan to do. The purpose of the event was basically to just kind of share that, but then also kind of network in a sense, to like be around people who you're not always around consistently, because we invited like both of our friend groups, and then they're not usually around each other. We have different friends that hang out with different people. But yeah, so it just was an opportunity for us to network, find people who might have like-minded goals or ideas, share interests or anything like that. And then also just have a safe space to maybe you can create an accountability partner. Like one of my goals was to read 6 books this year because I did not like to read, but I have been getting into self-help books and things like that, or just things like financial literacy. So if people who came to the event were like, oh, I'm actually interested in that too. Maybe we could start a book club, something along the lines of that. And maybe just accountability partners, I think could be a very beneficial thing. Unfortunately, we didn't have a good turnout. Very disappointing, but at the end of the day, the purpose of it still stands. So whether my friends can participate or not, I'm still going to do my best to stay on track, and then I'm going to try again to incorporate other people, but this is also my way of sharing what I learned with you guys too. So I guess you can kind of count it as like the first failure of this year. Although I do have another one that's unrelated. Anyway, so although this first event was kind of a fail, we are going to attempt to do it again for the next few quarters or next 3 quarters, just to start the conversations. Because I feel like starting the conversation is helpful in itself, just because I feel like a lot of young adults either don't talk about it or they don't have anyone to talk to about it. You kind of are on your own to have these conversations. I feel like it's important, especially if you care about your friends. You should care about not only lifting yourself up, but them as well. So going forward, we plan to have one every quarter just to check in on our friends, have accountability, and have more conversations, because you never know what you can learn or what you can share with other people. So I want to get into how I am going about planning for 2024. I got a few ideas off of TikTok. Not gonna lie, I have a TikTok problem, but sometimes it comes in handy. So I found a lot of videos about how people are going about planning for their 2024 in different ways. And one of the ways that I came across was the 12-week year or quarterly planning. So every 3 months of the year, you kind of plan to accomplish a set of goals or whatever you need to do within those 3 months. So I'm just gonna break down like what that is about, kind of my interpretation of the 12-week year or the quarterly planning, and then just kind of go into it so you guys maybe it can help you guys do a different way more than just like the regular resolutions and like goals that we usually do or that most people do. And I kind of combined like a few things and kind of tweaked it to what I like to do because I like to break things down and stuff like that. What I did was divided them up into all my goals that I had, I divided them up into categories. So I made categories like personal goals, financial goals, um, career or business goals, fitness or health goals, all different categories. I think I had like 7 categories each. And I wrote out at least like 4 goals per category. And then from there, I also wrote why I want to achieve that goal for each goal. And then from there, I would write the task I need to do in order to accomplish that goal. So it's going to sound like it's overwhelming, and it kind of is a lot, but for me, and it doesn't have to work for you. So if you have a better method that works for you, that's fine. But for me, it kind of helps for me to get all of that out of my head and onto paper so I can see it. And I actually saw this quote where it was like, no need to be overwhelmed. It's already, no need to feel overwhelmed, babe, because you already mapped it out. And that's how I feel about this. So, yeah, once I wrote out the tasks for each goal, I kind of separated those into what I would consider to be quarterly tasks, monthly tasks, and weekly tasks. And for the quarterly tasks, I kind of focus on things maybe that I just need to get out the way before I start something, like something that might be research based or something that I have to do like every 3 months so that I can kind of see the progress or learn something about what I'm doing. And then monthly is just kind of like, okay, what am I going to do? What do I have to do every single month to keep up those tasks? And then weekly kind of is like, okay, what am I basically doing day to day, week by week, so that I can meet whatever I need to do by the end of the month or whatever I need to do by the end of the quarter. So that's basically how I did it. So I'll actually share some of the goals that I had with you guys for this year. So like I shared before, one of my goals was to read 6 books this year. I've really been getting into self-help and financial literacy books. So, some of the recommendations that I've gotten or books that I've started reading or that are on my list to read are Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read that. That was actually pretty good. More financial literacy type thing. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm currently reading that. That's more of a self-help and the power of positive thinking. Again, self-help. I feel like that one does have a more of a religious undertone. So if you're not really comfortable with that, I would maybe not recommend, but I think it's still good because I'm not a super religious person myself anyway. And then Atomic Habits, I've heard a lot of good things about. So of course that's going to be on my list. And then The Defining Decade. Um, I've heard a lot of good things about that book for especially for people in their 20s. So if you're in your 20s,
You're 20?
go ahead and give that a read. And then so that's on my list and that's what I'll be reading. So one of the other goals that I had was financial. So I wanted to figure out ways to maximize my income, whether that's finding other sources of income, um, little things as small as like cash back rewards or um, referral links and things like that. Um, all the way to like retirement plans like Roth IRAs or high yield savings accounts. Right now, what I'm doing is using a budgeting app. Not sponsored, but I use Every Dollar. And I feel like that helps me because I have paid for this, the paid version where it kind of tracks, I can link my cards or my accounts to track how much I'm spending. And I just have to categorize that and I can see where I'm spending, how much I'm spending, and kind of create the budget for every month and kind of keep track of that. Some other cash back things that I use. So one of my credit cards are also has like one, I think it's like 1 to 3% cash back depending on what the purchase is. And then I also use cashback apps like Dosh and um, Rakuten and Retail Me Not. And then I also use rewards apps or coupon apps like Fetch or Retail Me Not. Again, for the Roth IRA and high yield savings account, my goal was to get a high yield savings account and also invest in my Roth IRA because I created one and I didn't know you had to like actually invest it once you put money in. And it's crazy how common it is for people to create a Roth IRA, put money in it, and not know that they actually have to invest it. So I thought I'd share a little information with you guys to help you guys get some information to maybe foster your own research. So, disclaimer, this is just based off my own research. You should do your own research. So, with the Roth IRA and high yield savings account research, that was one of the tasks that were quarterly or things that I felt like I need to just get out the way or start before I can really do the monthly or weekly thing of investing the money or putting the money in the savings account like that. Let's start with high yield savings account. Pros and cons. Some of the pros for high yield savings accounts is that you have a higher interest rate than the traditional bank accounts. Um, Most bank accounts have a low interest rate or percentage that you get back. Like you might have like $1,000 in your account and then you probably get like 1 cent or a couple cents at the end of the year versus a high yield savings account. It's kind of in the name. You get a higher percentage off of that money that you put in. So you're going to get a higher amount than you would in a regular savings account or a traditional bank account. It does have flexibility. So most or a lot of the high yield savings accounts that are out there, you can withdraw at any time without penalties. It kind of depends on which bank you're going through, but there's usually no penalties or minimum deposits. So it's also low risk as long as your account provider is FDIC insured, which means that your account is protected up to $250,000. So some of the cons some of the cons could be that the interest rate is not consistent and can fluctuate frequently. So lately, a lot of the interest rates have been high. I've seen a lot around like 4.35 up to like 5.15, or like even higher than that. So the interest rates are very good right now, but they do fluctuate. So they're not just going to stay that and you're going to get that forever. They can go up and go down. It just depends on, I guess, the market. I'm not super into finances like that. But yeah. So also another con is that the growth is slower than other options like investing, where you can kind of see a faster return on your money or a higher and faster return on your money. But it's just another slow option to grow your wealth long term. And then also what can be considered a con is that most accounts are offered online, so there's no physical location. So if that makes you feel a certain way, that might be a con for you because a lot of these high yield savings accounts are only offered online. You do have to pay taxes on the interest that you earn, but it's taxed at your normal rate that your income is taxed on. So when I researched the different the different high yield savings accounts or banks or whatever and what they offer, for the most part they all have no monthly fees. They're FDIC insured and you don't have to have a minimum deposit or it's like $1 or something. But I'm just gonna go over the list of possible accounts you might be interested in or that you can start your research on. One is Western Alliance with a 5.32% interest rate. UFB Direct, which has a 5.25% interest rate. CIT Bank, which has a 5.05% interest rate. Wealthfront has a 5% interest rate. Synchrony has a 4.75% interest rate. Marcus Goldman Sachs is currently at 4.5% interest. but I've heard that they do have a benefit of where you can refer someone to open an account with them, and you get an extra 1% for every referral for the next 3 months, I think. So if you were, and you can do 5 referrals per year, which was pretty good. And then we also have American Express National Bank at 4.35% interest. And then Capital One 360 Performance Savings is at 3.9% and Ally Bank at 3.85%. So those are just options for you guys to look into and do your own research on and see which one is best for you. I'm still sifting through trying to figure out what I want to do. The next thing that I did research on was Roth IRAs. I kind of want to learn more about it, and it seems like it's kind of complicated, and I still don't have a full grasp of everything, but here's just my summary of what I learned. And we're talking about the Roth IRA to be specific. So the Roth IRA uses post-tax dollars, meaning that the money that you put into the account has already been taxed. So any money that you earned after putting it into that account does not get taxed once you take that money out of the account. They refer to as a post-tax dollar retirement plan, I guess you can say. And a Roth IRA is an individual retirement account. So that's what the IRA stands for, that you fund with post-tax dollars. Money after being taxed, or money that's already been taxed goes into that account. And your investments have the potential to grow tax-free and can be withdrawn tax-free once certain requirements are met. The contributions that you add to your Roth IRA can be withdrawn at any time. This may depend on where you set up your Roth IRA. One of the things that I wanted to look into was the contribution and income limits, because there are rules as to who can qualify to have a Roth IRA and how much you can contribute to that account. In 2023, if you made under a certain amount, the max you can contribute was $6,500. For 2024, if you make less than $146,000 a year, you can contribute now up to $7,000 for that year for a single individual. If you're married, it is different because it looks like your combined income, or if you're filing jointly versus separately. So I would look into specifics. They do have a lot of charts where you can see like the breakdown of if you're eligible or not based on your income, how you file if you're married, and then how much you can contribute to your account. So with Roth IRAs, I've learned that you kind of want to be more aggressive the younger that you are, and you want to start young as possible. So really, I should have started years ago, or as young as I could, but I didn't because I was lazy, and it is what it is. So I'm trying to start now. But yeah, so you want to be more aggressive with your investments the younger that you are, and then you can kind of be a little bit less aggressive the older you are or the closer you are to retirement. So, with that being said, there are different types of ways to invest. So, when I was looking into the different types of ways to invest, there's different things that you can do. You can invest into stocks, and like the index funds and bonds and stuff like that. I don't know all the terminology. It's still confusing to me, but again, this is me just sharing information that I found out so that you can do your own research. But at the end of the day, there are different places that you can set up your Roth IRA. I'm personally using Fidelity, and they kind of have these, like, if you don't want to do your own research on the specific stocks or index funds or whatever the heck that you want to invest into, they have these target date funds where if I'm like, okay, I plan to retire in 2050, they have a literal like target date fund that'll say like something 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 2050, and it has like a bucket of different stocks and bonds or whatever that starts out like, if I'm since I'm younger, it'll start out a lot more aggressive, and then as the years get closer to 2050, it'll get less aggressive, and it kind of does the work for you as far as picking the bonds and stocks and stuff for you. So if you want something that's kind of easy, It's not a guarantee like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a millionaire," because they already picked out all the stuff for you, but it's just an option if you're not ready to do the real digging and research. So one thing I definitely wanna emphasize, especially if you are considering getting a Roth IRA, is that the younger you do it, the better. The more time you have to kinda get that interest and build that money up for your retirement. It is not the end all be all of retirement plans, but it's just an option that you can take advantage of. And when you are setting up your Roth IRA, please, please, please make sure that you are not only creating the account, but putting money in it and then also investing it because there are people, me included, that created an account, put money in it, and didn't know that that isn't doing anything. Like your money is literally just going to sit in that account, not grow. You're going to look at it 10 years later and see that it did nothing because it sat there and did nothing. You're not investing anything. So please make sure that you are actually doing your research when you're doing these things. Find incredible resources, but also credible like places to actually invest your money or like websites. Like I know of Fidelity, but there are other websites that you can use to create your Roth IRAs. But if you take anything from this, please do your own research and please actually invest your money once you create the Roth IRA. I want y'all to win and have money that grows and have a good retirement. I don't know. I'm gonna share some other goals that I had, just not necessarily financial, but just about me because you guys are gonna get to know me throughout this podcast. It's not just gonna be strictly financial or information based. It's just sharing. Um, the multitude of aspects of life. So one of my goals that I had was to do my hair every 2 to 3 weeks. Just because I want to focus on my biggest goal has always been like length retention and curl definition and now I kind of want to focus on the health of my hair. Just because and also I like to switch it up, to be honest. I like to switch up a new hairstyle as often as I can. I just don't be feeling like doing it, lazy because I am natural and it's a lot to do. But I just want to incorporate more self-care for for myself and also just focus on my hair health because I feel like my hair has always been a pretty long length regardless, even though I haven't even been taking care of it as good as I could have. But I feel like if I focus on the health of my hair, all the other things will come. And I think that taking the time to be intentional about taking care of my hair is also going to help myself to kind of feel like, okay, yeah, I deserve to take care of myself and take care of my hair and do things like that. That's just one of those self care goals that I have. Another goal that I had was to take vacations or weekend trips. So I wanted to do like 4 this year. So like one every quarter. I don't know if that's gonna happen. But the goal was to do a trip or vacation every quarter, whether it be like a small little vacation or a big vacation or a little weekend trip, just because I feel like it's important to travel and see the world. And not everything has to be a big all-inclusive trip out the country or something. Like it can be a cute little weekend trip. It can be a staycation. It could be anything. I feel like it's just important to try to get outside of your normal space. Um, yeah, I think it's important. So another thing was to start a podcast. I wanted to start this podcast so I can kind of share my perspective, but also my peers' perspective on life and information that might be helpful to other people. Some things I might know that other people might not know, or some things that other people know that I can learn. I just want to create a space where people can share a lot of stuff because we're all trying to figure this life stuff out. And I don't know. I just want to do it because I want to do it. I feel like it's important. And that's that on that. So another goal of mine was to grow my social media. So I used to be active on social media a couple of years ago, kind of fell off of that because life happens. And then now I want to get back into it just because it's so much stuff that you can do. Not only would I be able to promote this podcast, but I can grow my social media so I can potentially monetize it, but also just be able to share who I am with other people in a way that's it makes it easier for me to do as an introverted person. Just kind of just do something new and step outside of the box of what's my norm. The main purpose of like growing my social media is just to see if I can do it. One, I mean, it's kind of same thing, but I want to challenge myself to see what I can achieve because it's again, there's so much you can do with social media. Three, I feel like it can produce additional income, whether that's affiliate marketing or social media influencing or the programs or whatever. I feel like that can help me to just have an additional stream of income. And that is always good. So, another one that I had was creating a healthy relationship with food. So, my goal has been to hit a certain goal for my health, body image, weight, all that type of stuff. And I feel like I was pretty consistent as far as like working out consistently, but the eating is what threw me off of my progression, I guess you can say. So I want to just create a healthy relationship with food. So I'm not always thinking about food or thinking about, oh, should I eat this? Should I not? I just already naturally cater towards eating healthier or eating better so that when I do eat something that's not so healthy, it's not that big of a deal. But I'm also able to get to my goal, but also maintain my goal. And I think that's very important. So I've been trying to work towards that by planning out my meals, and I've been using this app called Eat This Much, which can help, and I do the paid version. So it helps me to plan out my meals for the week, and it has a lot of recipes that I can get, or I can put my own on there, and I can it creates a grocery list for me based off of what I plan out in the meals. And I can also track the nutrients, macronutrients and calorie counts or whatever if I need to or if I want to. And I feel like that's just another thing that's helpful because there's so many apps out there that can help you make the process easier. Lastly, uh, I want to start a digital product business because I like organization and I feel like if I can make something that I already made for myself that I like to use that is helpful for organization and things like that, if I can make money off of it, why not? Because like I'm gonna do it anyway.
Oh, I'm gonna do that anyway. I'm gonna do that anyway because that's how I am.
So why wouldn't I try to at least make money off it, especially with like digital products and stuff like that. And I had this goal last year too, but I feel like my where it went wrong was I literally tried to do so many things at once. And it kind of was overwhelming. It kind of was me being lazy. It kind of was me not really being intentional with my time. So I think it's very easy to get overwhelmed when you're trying to do so many different things or you have so many good different goals and aspirations. Especially with me being a perfectionist, I feel like if I can't do it how I want or how it needs to be done, I won't do it at all because I know it's just not going to be on the level that I want it to be done. But one of the things I'm trying to learn this year is to give myself a chance to grow. Like nobody starts off perfect. First off, we can't achieve perfection, but like nobody starts off just great out the bat. And some people do, and that's fine. I don't have to. I can start off somewhere and give myself a chance to grow, to get better, and I can see the progression. So if I start off with one thing or a little thing here and there and then build on as I go, then that's fine. But yeah, so I just wanted to leave those things with you guys, kind of share some things about myself, but also information that might be helpful to you. So hopefully those things were helpful. That's all I have. So I just want to thank you guys for watching. If you made it this far, I hope you guys tune in to the next podcast. episode. It definitely will be interesting and it will have a guest featured on there. So if you guys are interested in following along, please like, share, subscribe. Just have these conversations amongst your friends and whoever else. That's really the goal of this. So if you even do that much, I appreciate that. But yeah, tune into the next podcast. See you guys.